In this video on Dorico 3, we are in part 2 of the guitar tablature, and I'd like to talk about note entry. Now, it's possible to work with standard notation. You can actually copy and paste from standard notation into tablature. Let me show you. I'm going to select this measure. I'm going to paste it up here using my Option or Alt key. And you can see Dorico makes an educated guess on the correct string assignments. Here's my integrated system down here that has both the standard notation and tablature. If I paste it here, we see the standard notation show up as well as the tablature. Depending on your skill set, you might find it easier and faster to work with standard notation than move it into tablature. So let me delete this information, which we don't need. Let's talk about actually working with notation entry in tablature. So if I double click down here, I will get my entry caret here, and you can see we have our grid line here, which is defined by our value here, which is an eighth note. There are some differences with note entry and tablature. Let's talk about them. First off, you move from string to string with the up and down arrows. You can see my caret moving down to the sixth string, back up to the first string using the up and down arrows. Secondarily, your note value selection is not done with the numeric keypad, but rather with the minus and equal signs. So I'm up here with a quarter note. If I want a half note, I'll hit the equal sign. That brings up to larger. If I want a smaller note, I hit the minus sign, and I'm just going down to smaller values by hitting the minus sign over and over, back up to larger values, hitting the equal sign. Another difference is you're always in chord entry mode with tablature. So for example, let's say I want to replicate this chord. It's very easy. I can do this numerous ways. I'm on the first string line. I can hit the letter G on my QWERTY keyboard, and we have that. I can go to my MIDI keyboard, and I'm going to go down one string to the second string. I'm going to hit the note D, and you can see we're filling it out, but notice we're still in chord mode. So let me quickly finish this on the MIDI keyboard, and we have our G chord. If I want to move forward in time, I have to use the right arrow on my keypad. Let's say I want to do a series of eighth notes. While I could navigate up here and select the eighth note, I could also hit the minus sign, which I'll do right now, and it takes me to eighth note. So now I have an eighth note value. If I hit a note on my MIDI keyboard, and you can see it's assigning a D there. So notice the caret doesn't advance. If I hit another note, it just changes the pitch of the selected note. So let me do a Command Z and go back to that D. Now, if I use my right arrow, you can see I'm moving along. I'll use my right arrow again. And that's how you advance forward in time. If I go to another string, I'm able to put in an additional note, as we're always in chord entry mode. Now, granted, these may not be the easiest notes to play, 16th and 17th fret, but you get the idea. Let's say you want the note you've entered on a different string. With that note selected, you can use the letter N to move it up a string. See, we're on the 13th fret of the second string. I'm going to hit the letter N again, and I'm on the 8th fret. If I use the letter M, it moves that note down. So we could do that with multiple notes. And I'll use the letter N, and they're moving up like that. Again, letter N for up, letter M for down. Additionally, you can use numeric values to enter notes. I'm going to go ahead and get my caret again by double-clicking. So let me move my cursor out of the way. I'm on the second string. I'm going to hit the number 8. So what it does, it enters the note G because that's the pitch on the second string, 8th fret. And you can see it appearing up here in standard notation. I'm going to move my caret forward by using the right arrow. I'm going to move my caret up by using the up arrow. And I'll go ahead and hit the number 7 here. And you can see we're creating a little bit of an overlap. So the length of these notes, the value of these notes, they're quarter notes. So let me do an undo. Dorico defaults to a quarter note when you leave note entry. That's the problem. Let me change that value by hitting a minus sign. So let's move to an eighth note, and I'll advance to the last eighth note there, and I'll create a B by hitting number 7 on the first string line. Lastly, you can go to double-digit numbers. You just need to press them quickly. So let me go ahead and hit 12 here. And you can hear two pitches. Let me do an undo and show you what's happening. It takes me down to the first fret. So it registers the first fret and then the second fret, but realizes within the speed that you're doing this, it's actually the 12th fret. So again, another undo, and I'll do 12 again quickly. And that's 1, 2, as fast as my little fingers will type it. So we have numerous ways to enter notes into tablature. We can use notation and copy and paste. Works great. We can actually use note entry in tablature, and that requires us to define the string, using the up and down arrows. And because we are always in chord mode, as we go forward, we have to use the right arrow. Or if we want to go backwards, we can use the left arrow. If we don't like the position of a note on a string, we can always select it using the letter N to go up a string, letter M to go down a string. We can use the MIDI keyboard to enter a pitch on a selected string. We can use the QWERTY keyboard to enter a pitch on a selected string. And we can also use numbers to enter a pitch on a selected string. So 3 different ways of entry there. Dorico will also show you color coding of errors. Let me go up to the part right here. And there's a couple of things that happen. If you see green, it means the part has 2 notes on the same string, but it's playable if you move one of the notes. If you see red, it means out of range. This guitar has standard tuning. This is a D below the low E, so that won't work. You can see we get a question mark here as well. If you see purple, it means it's unplayable in our question mark here. And that's because we have both an E and a G, which can only be played on the same string, the low 6 string, in standard tuning. Of course, you can simply correct these errors by manipulating the numbers here or by changing the pitch here. And finally, there's a way within the Properties panel to go ahead and change your string, not the pitch, but the string the pitch is found on. So if we navigate down here, we can see string, and we're string number 4 for a pitch D3. That's actually a selection from another part. Let me make a selection here. You go down here and turn string on, and you can see it says I'm on the 3rd string and the pitch is G3. So pitch notation here, string notation here. I can get a drop-down menu here, and you can see it gives me choices of where that note is found on strings. It can't be found on the 2nd or 1st string, so we're limited here. Let's move it to the 4th string, and now it's showing us the same pitch, but on the 5th fret of the 4th string. As always, thanks for watching. Hope this gives you a tip or trick or two, and hope to see you on the next video, where I'll be going over options for layout, engraving, and notation, amongst other things, to make sure the tablature looks great.